welcome to our time tonight. This is Journey into the Akashic Records. I am so excited to have you. And this is a really fun, informative class that we are going to do together. It's a mini class. We're just going to talk about the records, and it's also a space for you to ask any questions that you might have about what are the Akashic Records? How can they help me? I'd love to hear like why you are here, what is drawing you, if you've had any experience with the records before. And then we're going to do a really lovely meditation together. So I'm actually, because we've got such a small group, I'm going to open up the records of each of us, which will transmit through the meditation that we do. And you will be able to have a direct experience of what it's like to feel, or what it feels like to be in your own Akashic Records, which, you know, first and foremost is just a really beautiful, calming, peaceful energy. And then, of course, there's insights or all kinds of things can come through that space too when we're in the meditation. So we're just going to leave an open, beautiful space for that to be filled. Okay, so before we get started, I would love to know, and both of you are muted, my dears, so I would love to know what your name is. I can see it, but do you have a middle name? Because that's how I'm going to open up the Akashic Records when we get to that part.
Sure,
Sharon.
I can go. My middle name is May, M-A-E.
M-A-E.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, honey, thank you. And Sherry, how about you?
It's Sherry Lou, L-U.
Okay, Hutchinson. Yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Well, and I am Dawn Marian, and a little bit of background about me. I have been working with the Akashic Records for almost 20 years, which is incredible. I was just doing the math and I thought, how did this happen? You know, because whenever you start on kind of a spiritual path, you just sort of feel like, oh, like everyone's been doing it for so long and I'm just a newbie. And then all of a sudden it's been 2 decades. So Akashic Records has been something that I was really just drawn to. There was really I didn't know why, except for just like, I just felt like I was pulled to it. And every step I took, it just felt so right in my heart. And throughout those 20 years, I would say probably the first 6 years, I just worked in my own Akashic Records. I started doing readings for other people. And then I became an Akashic Records teacher. And I've been doing that for about 12 years now. So it has been my number one tool. I have loads of background in energy medicine. I'm a Reiki master. I've studied quantum healing modalities, holographic healing, shamanic healing, all sorts of healing. And Akashic Records is a beautiful complement to all that work that I do, but it's also probably my favorite tool to work with healing energy. And I love to work with the spirit, with the heart, with our soul. And it's been really important for me on my journey to where I come from. And so I could talk so much about that. It's just been wonderful. But what I'd really like to hear from you guys is what has brought you here tonight. Like what would you like to get out of tonight? And have you had any experience with the records?
Sure, I can go. So I also am I have a Reiki master's training. So I've been doing energy work off and on for, 20 years, long time. Mostly just practice on myself and friends and family right now. I have a dear friend who was learning the Akashic Records, and this is pre-pandemic. I was trying to figure out the year. So probably 2018 or 2019, we did a reading. So it's been a really long time, but it was fast. I remember being fascinated by it. I learn more. I'm a seeker, so I just love learning all of these sorts of things. So I'm super excited to be here tonight, and thank you for your expertise in teaching our class.
Yeah. Well, and as an aside, as Reiki masters, and Jesse is a Reiki master too, our Honsha Shonen symbol, that no time, no space, actually
Oh.
opens the gateway into the Akashic Records,
Oh, that's
which
cool.
is what allows us to be able to begin to work with past life energy for our clients or the people that we're doing Reiki with. And I've had a fair amount of students who've come through who have been Reiki masters of a very, certain level. And they're like, I know I'm going to the Akashic Records and this amazing energy opens up, and then I just don't know what to do there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to figure out like what is happening here and how to navigate this space. And there is a little bit of difference between the Akashic Records field state that you get to when you're in Reiki and when we are in our Akashic Records, channeling our own records and talking to our Akashic masters and teachers. But essentially the frequency is the same, and that's that unconditional love that hears all of the soul's hologram that is accessible in that space. And the two energies play exquisitely well together because of that core energy of just that love and transformation. And we're really working, you can go really deep on a soul level with Reiki too. So I think
Yeah.
you'll like it. Yeah, I think you'll like the energy a lot.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
How about you, Sherry?
I'm also a Reiki master teacher, and I have been with Reiki, well, my master since 2006, but with Reiki since 99, so 26 years or so.
Nice.
I also have done yoga since I was 14. So, and that also connects to the Akashic Records, but I don't spend like the Honsazation that you were just talking about. I didn't know that. And I'd like to just be able to tune into it. Last year, I found a series of books. It was on the Witches of Scotland, I think is what it was. And they were doing all these journeys into the Akashic Records again. And it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. And I don't know if Sharon, you feel the same way. It's like, I feel like I must be missing something. So when I saw this, I was like, yes, even though I am cooking, I look like, the chef or something here. So
That's awesome.
I've dived into it, and that book was really interesting what it was talking about and how you can do so much healing of things from your past and really going into like ancestral past.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most curious about, is really healing the ancestral past.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So, and I know Jesse's been on her path for how many years? A while too, right? So we've got
a minute.
yeah, a minute. Just in the blink of an eye, according to your soul. So okay, so we have a group of soul seekers here, so that's lovely. And that is one thing I would say about Akashic Records. It's kind of a hot topic right now. It's just having its moment. But the people that are really drawn to the work usually tend to be more evolved on their spiritual journey, who already have a reference for working with guides and angels, and many oftentimes have some big purposes in their soul's plans for them, because the Akashic Records helps them do that, whether that's being a healer. And again, healer, as we know, it takes many forms. That can include being a writer or a teacher or a hands-on healer, or as we say, there's a healer in every family, right? A wise woman, a wise man, someone who has this wisdom within our families. And Akashic Records can really help you walk that path with a lot of insight around what is the next step, and then all of the things that come when we are dedicated to walking this path of transformation for ourselves and being the light for others. So in a nutshell, and you guys are welcome to just pop in anytime if you want clarification, you want to go deeper, but in a nutshell, the Akashic Records are the recordings of your soul's journey from the moment it individuated from source into this present moment and include future potentials. Okay, so another way, so if you think about this, these are the recordings of your soul, and it's all housed in the Akashic Records. A lot of people think about it like it's a library full of information. I think it's a very useful way to sort of conceptualize what's happening. The truth is, the Akashic Records are holographic in nature. They're vibrational, and it is a multi-dimensional space. So if we're going to think about a library, I think the best image that comes to mind is the library in Harry Potter, where you step in and you look up and it just goes into space, right? And that affords us an amazing amount of entry points into healing, because we're actually working with the entirety of the soul. We're not just dealing with surface dynamics that often we see in our life. We have a challenge, we're not well, something's happening, and a lot of times we're just responding to the discomfort that that's creating. And when we go into the records and we say, like, what's really going on with this? What's at the root? They can drop you into exactly where it is that energy became planted in your soul, where you took a detour from this knowingness of who you were, your divine essence, or whatever the truth in that moment might be, and then began to work with a contrary energy. And a beautiful thing about that in the Akashic Records is that there's no judgment, because your soul's main desire is just to grow. It's just to have experience. And of course, we can't fully have that growth and experience if we don't have both sides to figure out where we want to be in all of that spectrum, right? Like, what is the truth that is for us? And so we have this sort of like realm of universal truth, right? The biggest ones that we're all working with right now is that we're all one, and that you are love, which are two of energies that we just keep coming back to in the Akashic Records over and over again. And so you can also think of it as like, what has your soul's experience been of those universal truths as it's been having these experiences? And we know we've got lifetimes that are, beautiful, and they're aligned, and we're doing our work. And then we have lifetimes that are the complete opposite. We're controlled and thwarted and all the things. And we are finding our way through all that. Okay. So another way to think about it for you, because you are both healers, is in quantum science, we have this concept of the Akashic field, right? And the Akashic field is a field of pure potential. It's like unformed matter, right? And this is known as Akasha. There's this brilliant book, if you're more into science and you like kind of more sort of like empirical sort of data to back up your spiritual, studies. It's called Science and the Akashic Field by Ernest Laszlo. And he gets into all this quantum theory about the Akashic field. And the idea in layman's terms, and which is me, I'm not a huge science person because my heart just knows that's sort of like how I do this, right? But the Akashic field, this field of pure potential, what gives something form is consciousness, right? And this actual word Akasha comes from a Sanskrit word that means, like, loosely translates to like the stuff that everything is made out of. So I'm Akasha, this crystal is Akasha. Akashic record keepers have shown it to me almost kind of like this soup of golden light that's just sort of like oscillating and moving, but it's not really doing anything. And again, that's an idea that we can also sort of hold next to this idea that we all come out of this like unity, of this vibration of love and light. And so Akashic records were one of the first creations that were made to record everything that happened to the Akasha from the moment that Source decided to start having more experience of itself through creation. So truly, this is the universal records of the cosmos. And we have a direct line into the Akashic Records through our own soul, because it is our divine birthright to know the truth of who we are and where we come from. So the Akashic Records have been accessed for millennia on this planet. There are places on Earth where there are, for example, in the Yucatan, where there's like almost like a centralized anchor point of the Akashic Records so that we could access it on this planet. And shamans and priests and in all traditions have had access to the Akashic Records. And it was usually something that was allowed by the kind of higher developed spiritual people. Okay. And for a while, that energy was part of spiritual practice, and then it started to be misused, let's say that. Like, because if it's the records of everything, right? I could go into the records and I could figure out where my enemy has buried the treasure. You know, I could use that in military, right? So it was being misused from its like original purpose. And so it kind of went underground for a while. Not underground as in disappeared, but again, went receded deeper in. So really our Mayan brothers and sisters were the ones who've been keeping the records alive, Peruvian and shamanic traditions, ways into the records. And it's been since the 1980s, actually, that we here in America, in the West, have had more increasing access to the Akashic Records through people who've been able to bring the records to us in a way, obviously in English, right? And the reason for that is because it is time for all of us to awaken up to the truth of who we are, to get on purpose. We're living in this amazing time period where people are moving through lots of patterns. We're clearing ancestral blockages. We're uplifting our family lines. We are doing the work for ourselves. We're helping other people. And having the Akashic Records at our disposal actually really accelerates our personal growth, our spiritual growth, and also allows us to do our work with a lot of grace and ease, because your soul has a plan for you, right? Like, you came to this life knowing what you wanted to do, what you needed to heal for your next steps, who you were going to be doing this with. So we have you're both Reiki masters, all of you. So this idea of like having a contract with someone or some karma to clear, all of this stuff is absolutely the domain of the Akashic Records. And it's amazing. And if it sounds overwhelming, you know, there are ways, and this is why like learning how to actually open them and work with them and move through them is very useful, because when we go into the Akashic Records, like through Reiki or in a meditation, it feels amazing. And it's very potent in and of itself, because when we're in the Akashic Records, we are aligned to the vibration of our soul. And what could be more healing, right? To like actually like plug into your divine essence, which includes we talk about it like your Akashic blueprint. It's like your I am energy, and you plug right into that. So this bypasses a lot of bullshit, you know? And what I love about this too is that, you know, when we're on our spiritual path, there's a lot of people saying, well, you should do this, right? Like figure out how to like work with your light body, the Merkaba, study this. No, this is chakra. You know, there's all these different pathways. And when you're working in your Akashic Records, it really becomes your pathway. And the records will tell you, study the Merkaba, if that's in alignment with your soul's remembering, right? If not, it'll take you somewhere else. And so you really learn as you start to work with your own Akashic Records how to source your own divine wisdom for yourself, and to stop going outside, because you realize that it is all inside of you. And when you start to work with your Akashic Record keepers, which are like your spirit guides, but they are your masters and teachers that have been with you through all of your incarnations, and you learn how to channel conversations with them, you really are able to just kind of bypass all that stuff that keeps us kind of up here. Like, is this the right thing to do? And you just know. And you also know, oh, I'm getting in my way. Wait, is it me playing small again? Right? Am I like still not using my voice? Am I still hiding a little bit? So you can go into your Akashic records and say, okay, let's work on this. Where is this coming from? What is the root? Most likely, always that sort of business is going to be in a past life, but it can also be really deeply anchored into our childhood. So now we also have a tool to heal it. And this is what is so beautiful about the records too, and where it sort of kind of like moves away from intuitive healing, is that a lot of times in intuitive healing or psychic work, like the issue will come through, but not the healing, right? So you may have seen this, like where if you've had a client or you know somebody who's had some past life information, like, oh, you were burned at a stake for being a witch, and that's the root of why you're afraid to like do your healing work in this life, which is really common. That actually activates that wound in that person's energy body even more. And if it's not healed in that moment, then it just becomes even heavier and bigger for them. So when we come into this information in the Akashic records, it's like, okay, great. How do I heal it? And because we're working at that fabric of the soul to start out with, we can go exactly to the lifetime and then do the healing that needs to happen there holographically. And of course, the record keepers are master healers too. And so you begin to move through stuff that maybe has kept you stuck for, 10, 20 lifetimes, the karma thing, right? Which is always with ourselves primarily, because we're always the common denominator. Wow, there's so much I could say about that, but I'm going to open up the microphones and just to see, do you guys have any questions about that? Is that making sense?
I just think it's fascinating. And just it's such a great explanation, because I didn't really understand what the records were. So this is very, very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Sherry? Making sense?
Okay.
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense. You're kind of putting some of the puzzle pieces together, because for me it's mostly like how to access it and how to go back and to heal those old family trauma. Sorry, he just won't stop pawing me. He's got these ginormous paws. I don't know if you can see them.
Cute.
No.
And he won't stop because I sat down. And so eventually he'll calm down. But yeah, so going back and healing those old things, and currently I've been healing in the adopted, being an adopted child. I've been healing on the like bio dad, and having met my on my mom's side, my bio mom's side, I want to go back and heal whatever it is on her side to try to stop what they've been carrying forward. Just because it's a lot of, I'll just put it as craziness. And that's kind of what I want to be able to go back into the Akashic records and to be able to heal that. It's got to be like a shame and a humiliation, and goes back into the Catholic churches, and we can see all of that still happening in our news. So I want to just solve the whole world's problems right now, if you wouldn't mind.
Me too. Go team, superpowers unite. Yeah, you bring up both of you, so many beautiful points, and this is it too. Like, we understand as healers that a challenge is not just one thing. It's lots of threads that come together. There's our imprinting from childhood, there's past lives, there's collective patterns that are playing out, there's the ancestral, there's emotional bodies, there's so many pieces. and being able to like work that in the records. And this is the thing too, when you are having those conversations with your record keepers, they know. Like, it's not sort of like a, you know, is it this or is it that? They're like, well, it's this, it's this, and this. And they also know beautifully, like, this, it's like a Jenga tower, right? Like, if you pull out this one and you heal this first, then the other stuff will start to shift and then change. And there are things that, you know, of course, like we can heal in a moment, you know, in just a setting. And there's some bigger things like maybe this, you know, idea that like, I don't know, you're not worthy for love, right? That's something I've been working on for many, many, many years on my healing journey, right? Continuing to open myself to more love and more worthiness. And the Akashic Records is kind of like every time you go in, there's this reboot to your own truth. And you can receive that energy passively, and then you can also, you know, go after it, you know. And I think as healers, we also know like there's cycles of time, at least for me, where I'm working through something. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm like, I am gonna heal this. And then I go and then I kind of just like recalibrate and everything's good, you know, and then, you know, something else will come in. And what happens is like the Akashic Records working in the way that I'm talking about can really become a daily guide for you. It can be daily if you want to bring it into a practice. It can be something that's just continually, you know, like you don't have to waste time thinking, should I do this? Should I not? You can just go to your records and be like, does this serve me? And what do I need to know about it? Is there anything I don't know about it? And kind of like move off of it, you know, and there's no reason to feel like a pile of duty for longer than as long. I mean, it's really going to be like as long as you want to. As long as you want to sit and spin, you can, right? But you know, you've got a tool that, okay, I need to work on this in the records because I'm so triggered. Right? What is this really about? And get to the heart of it. And actually, those are some of the most profound healing sessions. So the way that I teach, and there are ways to get to the records. So we talked about like using the Reiki to vibe into them. Lovely healing energy, maybe not so much information, except for what will come through intuitively. We're going to experience it tonight through meditation. So I'll be opening up all of our records. We'll be connecting. You're very sensitive, all of you. So you'll be feeling probably a sense of that energy come through. And the way that in this context of like really kind of like working and navigating, getting to know your Akashic Records is called the sacred prayer system. So it's a sacred prayer that you use that works as a vibrational key that unlocks the Akashic Records. And then with that key is actually learning how to work with the terrain, how to ask questions of your Akashic Record keepers, how to heal in the records when something comes up that you want to shift or transform or to release, and then how to really trust yourself and your connection. You know, how do I know I'm not making it up? You know, how can I be more confident? Those type of things. We spend lots of time on that too, because that's a huge part of it, because you will only go as deep in your Akashic Records as you allow yourself to. Right? And so while it is an infinite amount of information that we have access to, like within the context of what is an integrity for us to have access to, because there are parts that are closed, of course. But within our own lives, like you will go as deep as your heart is wanting to, and that you're open to, right? Because your record keepers will always meet you where you're at. So sacred prayer system, it's really beautiful. It's very heart opening. And another point about this too is like you don't have to be intuitive, particularly to do Akashic Records work, because the energy centers that are activated are your crown, which is all about that receiving from source, and your heart. And your heart is also another part of that key when you say the prayer, your heart's desire to get to know itself, because we know the heart is this multi-dimensional energy that allows us to connect with all that is through the gateway of the heart. And so when that heart is online with like, I want to receive myself, my own essence, there's a coming home that happens when we go into the Akashic Records. And that channel opens as a channel, like you are channeling, but also I think of that channel as was like a transmission channel where your record keepers can drop into your energy field any frequencies, any healing, any information. I kind of sometimes it looks a little bit like packets of information that might need a little bit of time to sort of set in your energy field before they can open up. And all of this is meant to guide you forward. And it's a journaled process. So you're actually writing kind of back and forth with your Akashic Records, maybe in sort of that style. If you've read, what was that book, Conversations with God, right? He's like, hey, God. And the God's like, here's the answer. It's like that. So the beauty of that too is that you're actually anchoring it into the physical. So contrary to a lot of spiritual practices, Akashic Records, surprisingly, for as high vibrational as they are all about embodiment. You creating heaven on earth for yourself and walking through this world as a human being, knowing exactly who you are as a divine being, and embodying your soul's energy and sending it out into the world in the way that your soul has intended, right? And so we actually practice being grounded. We practice embodiment because the you that we're connecting with, you know, a lot of times, like in spiritual practice, people will, I kind of think of it like go on a little bit of a spiritual acid trip where you have this amazing experience with like the angels or like whatever, and you're like, whoo, when you completely leave your body. And don't get me wrong, I love that stuff. It's great. But we can sometimes create these loops with it because we're not bringing it home, right? And you'll see sometimes clients or people who are addicted to spiritual stuff. They're doing all this stuff, but they're not really anchoring it. It's not really sinking in the way that it's meant to. And with Akashic Records, we don't leave our body. We actually sort of like with that crown and that heart, we go up into it. Like, can't really see me, but we go up into it like Gumby, right? I think about Gumby getting like really stretchy. And we marinate and we soak up all our Akashic goodness and our soul frequency, and we align and we do all the things. And then we come back down. See, and it doesn't go anywhere. It sits in you. And trust me, when you start your morning with Akashic Records meditation or a little channel, even for 15, 20 minutes, you have a completely different kind of day. 100% all the time. And I have aura photography to prove what it looks like when you're not in the records and when you are in the records. It's amazing. I always share it with my students when we get started. So we have 23 minutes left. I want to get us into the records. Sound good? Okay. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And I'm actually going to use the sacred prayer that I use for clients and for teaching all the time. I'm going to open it up of the four of us. And there's a little bit of time. So you'll hear the first prayer that is kind of like going into the records. And then there's a bit of silence while I'm opening up everyone's records. It's another layer that's going to unfold. So you could just hang out with your eyes closed, make it be a really luscious sensory experience. And then I'll continue to guide us into the energy of the records, okay? All right. So we're gonna get comfy, take a nice big open mouth exhale. See if you can just whoosh yourself down into your body. Let's do another one. And with this next exhale, we're just gonna send roots into earth. Almost like you're sending your energy down to give Mother Gaia a kiss. Really becoming grounding and let all your energy just kind of sink into your pelvis, to your low body. And then as we settle into this grounded connection that we have on our in-breath, we're actually going to pull it up now through our feet and our legs and kind of like re-anchor it into the pelvis. So we're going to create a little bit of a circuit, like earth energy rising up, coming into the pelvis, into the root chakra, and then just flowing gracefully back down, because this is part of our divine connection with earth as humans. And then we're going to do another breath. And this one, it's like building a bit of a layer cake. So we're going to stay anchored, but our next breath, we're going to send through our heart. Almost like you are blowing on candles on a birthday cake, or a wind is opening up a door. There's just this gentle surrender. And then we'll do another one. Don't forget the back of your heart. Just let your heart open. We know it's a Taurus type field. So letting your heart open 360 degrees all around you. And then we're just going to tune into the light inside of your heart. That divine spark, that part of your soul essence, your I am presence that is with you in every single lifetime, that holds your unique frequency and energy in all expressions, physical and non-physical. Think of it as a light, glowing light, and as you breathe, it just continues to grow and glow and begins to fill your heart chakra, fills your chest, your core, begins to rise up into your throat area. And even within all of that light, there's like a center of the light, the center of this divine spark. And I want you to just move into it, almost like you're going through another door in your heart, a door that opens. And there you find a room filled with light. We're just going to breathe into that space. And this is where we all connect together, Jesse and I, to you virtually, both of you. And we're just creating this beautiful ball of light amongst us, a safe space where we ask our guides and angels to come in to help us anchor this energy as it opens and as we continue to work with it after our time together. And then we're going to build one more layer on top of that open heart. So as you feel that heart that's open, stacked on your pelvis and your grounded earth connection, we're going to go up into the crown. And that is like sending a breath up through the top of your crown and letting it come out and almost fountain over you. And we're going to go up about 6 to 8 inches above your crown, where I want you to visualize, imagine another ball of light. And this ball of light continues to grow and glow. It's the place, it's like a connection point between us and the unseen realms, where we get messages from our guides, our angels, our contracted ascended masters, our ancestors, loved ones past, and also our Akashic record keepers. And we learn to tune into that. So feeling this connection point is almost a little bit like the way that a flower opens to receive the light in the morning. And so we're just going to breathe into that space and let your connection just unfold to receive your own light of the Akashic records today. And we're going to take another breath, and we're just going to feel all of these energetics like all coming together, this open heart, this body that's ready to be filled with this connection and this love. And we ask Akashic beings of light, please bring us into sacred alignment with you as we open our hearts to receive unconditional love, wisdom, and healing from the Akashic Records today. And so as the Akashic Records begin to open, I want you just to take a beautiful breath. Coming back into your heart. And I want you to imagine or to feel even the energy around your crown. And think of it like a column of light. There's actually a column of light that opens up when we go into the Akashic Records. And just feel it wrapping all around you. It's like being in a soft hug of energy. And it's moving through all of your chakras, through your crown, through your third eye, your throat, your heart, your core, your root, and just drops right back into the earth. And there's a beautiful feeling of connection here, that there's a flow and a connection. We're going to let this energy just continue to deepen as we move back into our root connection. Just feeling our bodies, feeling the strength of our roots and that connection we have with the earth and the earth wisdom that lives inside. And allowing that to just rise up. It's a sense of knowingness. It's a sense of place. It's a sense of ownership almost of who you be. Exactly as you are meant to be, perfect in your imperfections, right? In your human life. There's this beautiful essence to your human self. And let's see if we can just breathe into it and just hold that space, almost as if we're welcoming this part of us that is going through life with love. And with that, we're also going to activate some healing energy. So if there's anything in our conscious awareness, or it could also be unconscious, it could be coming from other places, childhood or past lives or religious programming, that's holding us back from really sinking into this, who we are in this life, in this body. Just ask our Akashic record keepers to begin working with that, clearing it. It's almost like a sense of like massaging old threads that are worn and brittle and letting them break off, and the space to be filled with fresh, new golden filaments of light. And you can use your breath just to help with the process. An open mouth exhale, a conscious breath, just surrendering. Like, I'm just ready to let go of the earth stuff. I'm ready to be here in my body now. Making space for more of your own light. And as we do that, we're just going to let that light energy just continue to like build and rise up. And we're going to go into the heart again. Letting the energy do the work. Let your Akashic record keepers and healers, giving them permission to be in your energy field, to move out anything that no longer serves you. And we're going to come into the heart. We're going to work with this soul blueprint energy tonight. So as we go back into the heart, into all of that beautiful light, and into that room of light, see if you can feel yourself as if you were literally in a room full of light, where everywhere you turned, up to the ceiling, on the floor, on the sides of you, like it's all over. And you're in this beautiful energy of light, of truth, of unconditional love. And maybe it's a little bit like being in a steam room, right? Like it's so much light, but it's got a texture. It's got like an energy or a frequency to it. And in all of this light, you see, your eyes begin to discern a beautiful, ancient, leather-bound, giant book that sits in front of you. And that has its own light too. It is glowing. And you begin to move towards these records of your soul. And you see maybe characters, words, feel. Again, it's a multi-dimensional, multi-sensory experience to be in your records. And the pages begin to move, almost like they're fluttering information to you that you need right now. Giving you energy, giving you insight on any problems that you might be experiencing. And just taking a breath and just letting it in. It can be a lot more energetic, perhaps, than concrete in this moment. So just practicing that art of surrender and just opening yourself to whatever it is that your soul, your I am presence, and the part of you that's guiding you forward in this life, that knows, that has the answers, that knows what to do next, that knows what your true purpose is. Just let it in with our breath. Almost as if you exhale, your heart is opening like a bowl to hold a little bit more of your own divine energy, which is encoded with everything that you need to know. That's beautiful. Feel that. Let's just keep breathing there. Keep breathing there. And in this space of being in so much light and love and truth, we have a really beautiful gateway to do another round or another releasing of anything that doesn't line up to that, anything that's old news, anything you've outgrown in this life or other lifetimes. So let's just take a beautiful breath together and sigh it out. Yeah. And we're going to do that again. And we're also going to open the space up just a little bit. So what is yours? What bleeds into our families of origin and into our ancestors, to those who've come before us, and what might be for those who will follow in our footsteps. So it's almost like from this point in consciousness, we can send this beautiful energy into the past and into the future, touching all of our past selves, all of our childhood selves, all of our girls that we hold inside of us, these aspects of self. And it's almost like spreading this beautiful light, this love, this surrender, this truth into your entire hologram and sharing it. Sending it up and out, and feel that sense of the ancestors as they watch you awaken and evolve, as they hold that space for you to be connected, to rise up into higher levels of expression that were not allowed to them. And also to see those places where you are the embodiment of the wisdom and the gifts of your ancestors. And so there's a beautiful energy that's just kind of coming in here right now around that evolution. How we play roles in time and space throughout our ancestral lines. Just allowing it, knowing that you're supported and loved. And then we're going to take one more breath, and we're going to do one more alignment to our soul before we close. So I'm going to ask that each of you, as you continue to be worked with your Akashic guides, we all be lined up to that Akashic blueprint for this life. And you can feel that and think about that and visualize it like streams of energy coming through that crown connection. And we're going to go really big. We're going to go all the way into the DNA, into subatomic particles. We're going to work with our body systems, our organs. We're going to work with our heart, all of our chakras. We're going to even work with our tomorrow. Almost kind of like getting online, or like getting the Ziploc bag to like finally connect, right? Like this is the energy of what we're doing here. So let's see if we can just take a breath into that. And then we are going to fill up with the highest Akashic energy that we can hold in this moment, knowing that it's always expanding. Our capacity to hold our own light continues to expand as we continue to grow, as we continue to reorient ourselves to love, to truth, to peace, to letting go. And so we're going to allow the Akashic Record Keepers to make any final adjustments to our energy fields as we close the records, knowing that you can always return. You can return in dream states. You can return while your physical body is having a rest and your soul blips out and goes exploring, goes back to where it needs to be. You can also come into the temple of your soul using Akashic Records through Reiki, and also specifically through using the sacred prayer when you are guided to, if you are guided to. And so we want to thank our Akashic record keepers for all of their support and for this little journey into the records, knowing it's one of many infinite possibilities for us in the records. And with great love and joy, close and lock the records of Jesse Allen, Dawn Marian, Sharon May, and Sherry Lou, saying amen, amen, amen. Our records are closed. And so as we end our meditation, I'm going to have you take a couple of breaths. And again, that energy is just going to kind of continue to hang around you and marinate, but we want to just anchor it consciously. So again, sending some breath down back into the low body, into your core, maybe feeling your feet on the ground, doing a few little toe scrunches and moving our shoulders and coming back to the physical self. Yeah, so that was just a little taste of what we're doing in the Akashic Records from a vibratory state, let's say that. Again, when we work in the Akashic Records, you have the ability to ask questions, receive answers, do healing, be guided. You can also create in the Akashic Records, which is super lovely to just, be in your records and write or do an art project or walk the dog or sit on your patio and enjoy a sunrise or sunset or even take a bath. Because you got a sense from the meditation, what it really does is when we go into our Akashic Records, it really expands our senses. It's like expanded consciousness. And so things that, we kind of just take for granted, all of a sudden, I remember when I first did my first training and I took a bath with my Akashic Records open and my mind was blown, and the records were kind of giving me all this earth wisdom about the water and the flow. And I was just like, what is this? Right. And so you can play with it too. It's not always super serious. We have to be working and healing all the time, because our true nature actually is one of joy, right? It's happiness and expression. And so the Akashic Records can also help us in those areas. It can also help us with our businesses. So as a business owner, when I have to do hard stuff, sometimes I take the edge off by being in the records to do it. And also I know the places in my business where I get in my own way because I don't like to do it, or maybe they're still a little bit stuck around being seen or something. And if I work in my records in the morning before I do my work, I don't have that problem. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's tell the people, right? And if I haven't done it for a while and I want to go to work, it's kind of like, oh, and so it can really boost every area of your life, your relationships, especially I'm a parent, I have a 16-year-old. So we have conversations in the records, because she's changing so fast, what she needed last month isn't what she needs now. Right. And so I can just say, what does she need from me right now? And they've been really good about reminding me that I need to let my child make her own mistakes. Because when I can see it, I see where this is going, but it's she's not here to learn from me, she's here to learn for herself. And so figuring out what's the safe container to do that has been really useful. They've really helped me with that, because I didn't have any modeling around that when I was growing up. So yeah, there's so much I could say, but we're at time here. What I will say is if you like this frequency, if this is you're oh yeah, I want more, I am teaching a 2-day in-person workshop in Minneapolis. It's technically going to be in Minnetonka because that's where I live. It will be a small group. And I'm going to teach you how to do this. You are going to learn how to open your records consistently, which I think is really huge. It's not going to be a crapshoot. You're going to know how to do it because you're going to have the recipe. and you're going to be building on what you practice in class. And it's the same prayer that I've used like thousands of times to open records for my clients and for students and just in my own daily life. So it works. And also how to do it confidently. We talked about that a little bit. I'm not too worried about this group here because you all, know about intuition and like trusting all the things. I can feel that in you. But having the confidence as you begin to go deeper into your records, maybe into realms that like you don't know about, is really huge, right? Especially Sherry, you mentioned that you're working with some adoption energy, and so that can be a place where I've had clients that like they didn't know anything about their families, their biological families, and so being able to go in the records and actually ask those questions, even from a very like a physical, like, is there any health patterns in my biological family that I'm not aware of, for them to be able to say, yeah, there's heart patterns or there's this, been really helpful for them to put some of those puzzle pieces together, or answer some of the unanswerable questions, right? So it's amazing. I can't say enough good stuff about it. You learn how to ask the questions, of course, because there is a bit of an art to it. You can imagine with so much information, if you just say like, the number one question I get is like, what's my soul purpose? That is a very nuanced answer usually, right? And everyone's expecting something a little bit different, like a directive. And soul purpose, it changes, it evolves. It's more thematic than anything, right? So you learn how to ask questions that really get to what you want to know, but also open up to open doors that let your Akashic record keepers tell you what you need to know. Right. So because a lot of, they've got the 10,000-foot view on us too, and so we think, oh, I need to fix this. This is my thing that I have to work on. And they're like, oh, honey. Right. Like, maybe we should like explore this instead, move off your mother. Like, let's actually talk about like, what kind of situations disempower you. Right. And you're like, okay. And I guarantee when you let them guide you through it like that too, like the changes and the shifts are amazing. I think of the record keepers, like truly they are my best friends. I grew up in a cult. I would not be where I was without working in the Akashic records to put myself back together. They were my healers and my guides and my teachers. And I have never regretted doing what they have asked me to do or suggested I do. But I have always regretted not doing it, because it's like, oh, why didn't I do that sooner? Or now I see why, right? So they're kind of like your life coaches. They can be, and truly, because when you croak, and you go do the life review and you're like, okay, how'd that go? And what is unfinished and what do I need to come back and like work on again? You're doing it with your record keepers. Because they're keeping your records, like they know. So anyway, that's what I have to say. That's what I got for you. Do you have any questions before we end our time together? I've kept you a little bit over.
I just thought it was really powerful, and I got a really positive, powerful message that I'm
Awesome.
just super excited about.
Do you feel comfortable sharing your message with us?
Yeah, I will. The message was, there's no need to carry the burden anymore.
Yeah.
And it just like, I just like felt like, oh, thank God. Like, and I feel like it's definitely been this life that I've carried a lot of burdens, but I think it's back, other lives, ancestral kind of thing. So really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I saw your body going through a lot of energetic shifts and movement too. Yeah, it was really beautiful to watch that. Yeah, great. How about you?
When is your workshop?
It's October 19th and 20th.
Okay.
I just finished the landing page today. So, if it's okay, Jesse, could I send you the link
Absolutely.
tomorrow and
Yes.
she can just send it out to you if you're interested?
great.
I'd love to have you. It's in this beautiful space. So it's in my condo's party room, which seems a little bit weird, but like, trust me, it's gorgeous. It's floor to ceiling windows. We have a fireplace, a full kitchen, marble. Like, it's so lovely. It's a lovely place to teach. And we're just gonna flow and spend 2 days together, practice. There's lovely nature outside too. So they're lovely events, lovely events to come together. And again, this is a soul calling. I can't emphasize this enough. It's like, if you're meant to work with your records, it will not leave you alone.
Okay.
Like, it'll just keep, like, I gotta go, I gotta be there. My heart's yes, I don't understand, but I just, and we know that, like, that's kind of spirit and our higher self just directing us into stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I welcome you because it is life changing.
Yeah, I would love to get the information. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Sherry, anything that you would like to anchor or share?
No, it
ask?
was very powerful. I mean, like, very much like what you were saying, Sharon, you were definitely passing that over here. It was definitely so peaceful, and the theme was more on being heard, dealing with being, angry over being frustrated and not being able to move forward, which goes back like what you were saying, Sharon, generations. So you could just feel all of that and feel all of the frustration. And as you were talking about so of course there's movement tonight, so I apologize for that all around me. Clearly I don't live alone. And they were making all the noise, and I was able to stay in this beautiful, peaceful place and stay focused with them, which was really, really special. So it was really good.
Yeah, beautiful. That's an Akashic bubble, right? Like, that's part of it too, where, and I love this because there's so much support available to us from our record keepers. Like, we did not intend to come to this life alone. We know that we've got our guides and there's just so much support. And this is like a really direct line into a very, very potent realm of support. Right. And I always say, like, everyone's going to get there anyway, but it's just like, how do we want to travel that path? And for those of us who are soul seekers and a little bit, deeper and thinking about things like our families of origin and the ancestors and patterns and energy, like, this is just a really beautiful match for that because it's so expansive. So
Yeah.
absolutely expansive. And yet within that, we can still, like, it's this art and dance of like being guided through it, but also like driving the bus too, because the point is of this life is all of us stepping into our self-sovereignty, that I am energy, right? And so really what we're healing is sort of all the contortions and all of like the conditioning that has made us not be in our sovereignty. And that's just like the shedding of layers, right? That's because there's nothing to like create. It's already there. We're just getting to like the core essence of our soul, because your soul knows what to do. Back to that, right? Like, there's a plan and a program in place for you, and we can go with it, we can go against it. That part, we have free will. But if you are really deeply wanting to align with your soul's path for this life, this can be just, again, like a shortcut. I had one student write a testimonial or something, and she said it was like it was like getting onto like the on-ramp of like spiritual awakening or something like that, which I thought was really cute, because there's that idea of like, yeah, like, I'm in the fast lane, like, here I go. Truly. So, well, thank you. Jesse, do you have anything you want to say?
I'm good. I'm
Jesse's
still there.
she- She's still
that's
humming over
great.
here. We've
Yeah.
done a reading before too. Yeah, it's super fun to be with Jessie and her beautiful Akashic Records. So thank you so much. This has been such an honor. Again, my name is Dawn Marian. So my website is my name. If you want to head over tomorrow, there will be a landing page about this that I just refreshed. I just created a new landing page for this course. And Jessie will send out that information. Love to have you. And if you have any questions, you know, please reach out. All my contact information is on my website. You can, you know, leave me a text or call me or email and I will respond. And I hope to cross paths with you again. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful
That's
night.
fabulous. Thanks, Dawn.
Bye.
Bye, Sherry. Bye, Jessie.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, they are lovely.